Good morning, welcome to dNAxt. We are going to discuss topic Class C subnetting. So basically before we start with Class C subnetting, let's discuss what is subnetting. Subnetting is basically breaking down your major network into small subnetwork. So what we are doing in subnetting, we are basically breaking down the main network or the major network into different subnetwork according to the requirement of our architecture. Okay, so whatever is the design, network design of the office or the company, according to that we are breaking down the main network into small chunks, into small pieces known as sub network. Okay, so first of all we will discuss subnetting of class C. We know that range of class C is from 192 to 224. Okay, and how many octets are given to the network in class C? There are 3 octets that are assigned to the network. Okay, and 1 octet is for the host. So basically slash 24 is the default CIDR value of our class C. It is default CIDR value of class C. So default subnet mask for class C is 255 dot 255 dot 255 dot 0. So basically when we convert the CIDR value into subnet mask, the default subnet mask of class C is 255.255.255.0. Okay, now let's start with subnetting. Why we are doing subnetting? To break the major subnetwork into small subnetwork, and we do this by borrowing the host bits into the network. Okay, default subnet bits, default network bits are 24 for my class C. What I'll be doing to divide this network into subnetworks, I'll be borrowing the host bits into the network. So default CIDR value for class C is /24. For subnetting, I'll need to borrow the 8 bits that are available with the host into network. So for subnetting, I have to take /25, /26, /27 and so on. So let's discuss about them one by one. So first of all, /25. As the range is 192 to 224, we have taken the IP address as 192.168.1.0. Okay, /25 means how many network bits are there. /25 signifies 25 network bits. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. These 24 bits belong to the major network, and one more bit is there, that is the 25th bit. Okay, and remaining 7 bits are 0, that are host bits. Okay, so this is your major network. This is your subnetwork bit, and these are your what? Host bits. These are your host bits. Okay. So how many sub networks we will get when we borrow one bit from the host? How many sub network we will get? The formula is 2 to the power x, where x is the number of sub network bits. How many sub network bits we have over here? We have only one sub network bit, because these are the major network bits, these are the host bits that are 0, and the one bit which is from the host portion which we have borrowed into the network belongs to subnet bit. So we have only one subnet bit, so 2 to the power 1. So how many subnetworks we will get? We will get 2 subnetwork in slash 25. Okay, how many host per subnetwork? So how many host bits we have? We have 2 to the power 7 host bits. Host bits are 7. How many host bits are there? These are the host bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 host bits are there. So the formula is 2 to the power 7 minus 2. So 2 to the power 7 is 128. Why we are subtracting 2 from it? As out of 128 different IP addresses that we will get over here, for each subnetwork we will get 128 IP addresses. Out of those 120 IP addresses, one will be always your network ID and another will be broadcast ID. Network ID is the ID with the help of which your subnetwork is identified over the internet. Okay, and broadcast ID is the ID used to broadcast the things within the subnetwork. So these two IP addresses you cannot assign to any host, and hence we always subtract 2 from the number of IP addresses or the number of hosts that we can get. So how many host we will get? That is equal to 2 to the power number of host bits. Okay, that comes out as 128. But we always subtract 2 from this number, as 2 IP addresses we cannot assign to any endpoints or host, as one of them will be your network ID, another will be broadcast ID. So in each subnetwork you can give IP addresses to 126 hosts. Okay, so basically what you are doing, you are borrowing one bit from the host, due to which you are breaking down your network into two subnetworks. Okay, and each subnetwork contain 126 IP addresses, because basically by default class C की range है /24. So you have 8 host bits, so total 2 to the power 8, that means 256 IP addresses you get in class C range. What you have done when you have borrowed a bit means, when you have done subnetting, you have broken down these 256 IP addresses into two subnetworks by borrowing one bit. You have divided this major network into two subnetworks containing 128 hosts in each subnetwork. Okay, though hamesha you have to subtract 128 minus 2. You have to always subtract 2 from the IP addresses. Okay, why? I have told you the reason. One is your network ID, another is your broadcast ID. So what are the valid subnet? You have understood that when we borrow one bit, we will get two subnetwork. Each subnetwork will contain 128 IP addresses, out of which we have to assign to one as a network ID, another as a broadcast ID. So total 126 host IP addresses we will get in each subnetwork. But how will you understand where to break that network? That is given by the next formula, that is what are the valid subnet. ये subnet किस range में रहेंगे? So for that we do 256 minus subnet bit value. कितने bit on है host में? 1. उसका फर्स्ट बीट का वैल्यू है 128. So we have to subtract this 128 from 256, that is 128. So first IP will be 192.168.1.0, and the next slice, next chunk of your network will be 192.168.1.128. There will be an increment of 128. Okay, so as we know that we will get only two subnetwork over here, so one subnetwork will start with 192.168.1.0, and another will be 192.168.1.128. This increment will always be in the octet from where you are borrowing the bit. जिस octet से आप bit borrow कर रहे हो उसी octet में increment होगा. You will never ever disturb the octets of major network while subnetting. सबनेटिंग हम लोग जब कर रहे हैं, वी आर नॉट डिस्टर्बिंग दीज मेजर नेटवर्क बीट्स. मेजर नेटवर्क आपके 3 ऑक्टेट पहले मेजर नेटवर्क के हैं, तो दीज 3 ऑक्टेट में जो नंबर है आईपी एड्रेसेस के, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्टर्ब देम फॉर क्लास सी. ओके, सो वेयर यू विल डू इंक्रीमेंट, यू विल डू इंक्रीमेंट ओनली इन द 4th ऑक्टेट. Is this clear? 128. So 0 plus 128 is 128. So second subnetwork will start with 192.168.1.128. If you add again 128 to the last octet, it will become 256. And we know that 256 is not the valid IP address. So you will get only these two subnetworks. Let's talk about them in detail. Okay, so these are the two subnetworks that you will get, 192.168.1.0 and the increment of 128, that is 192.168.1.128. Broadcast ID will be the last IP address. ओके, आपका जो नेक्स्ट सब नेटवर्क है उसका प्रीवियस आईपी एड्रेस विल बी द ब्रॉडकास्ट आईडी फॉर योर फर्स्ट सब नेटवर्क. सो 192.168.1.128 के पहले आएगा 192.168.1.127. So this is the broadcast ID for my first subnetwork. This is the network ID for my first subnetwork. This is the network ID for the second subnetwork, and this is the broadcast ID for the second subnetwork, that is 192.168.1.255, because if you add 128 over here, that will become 256, which is not possible. So the previous IP address, that is 1.255, is the broadcast ID for your second subnetwork. What will be the first valid host? First valid host will be 192.168.1.1. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 till the last valid IP address will be 192.168.1.126. This will be your last valid host. Okay, what will be the first valid host in the second subnetwork? It will be 192.168.1.129. 1.129, 1.130, 1.131 से लेके the last valid IP address over here will be 192.168.1.254. Okay, so from 1 to 126 lie in the first subnetwork. From 129 to 254 all the IP address will belong to the second subnetwork of /25. Okay. Thank you.